Top U.S. Democrats are claiming Russia is behind an online campaign to release a classified Republican memo. RT's Caleb Maupin has more.
Well, according to the Democrats, there is yet another Russian conspiracy against the American way of life. Now, this is all regarding the hashtag Release the Memo. There is a memo that has been seen by top Republican leaders that purportedly and allegedly shows vast misconduct by the FBI in their investigation of Trump and Russia and possibly spying on Donald Trump. Now, there has been a huge call on social media for this memo to be released. Now, the Democrats say that this is a Kremlin plot, and they are calling on Facebook and Twitter to reveal the role of Russian bots in allegedly promoting this hashtag Release the Memo.
We are witnessing an ongoing attack by the Russian government through Kremlin-linked social media actors, directly acting to intervene and influence our democratic process. We urge your companies to immediately take necessary steps to expose and deactivate accounts involved in this influence operation.
Now, how do they know that it's Russia that's to blame for this social media upsurge? Well, all of the citations in their letter are simply media reports that are rather unsubstantiated. Now, what's particularly interesting is that this hashtag Release the Memo, it was started by top Republican leaders who saw the memo, called it jaw-dropping, were outraged by its content, and demanded that the American people be aware of how the FBI was conducting its work.
I had that same shock feeling. I was like, wait a minute, this actually happened from our Justice Department and this FBI. That's how serious this is.
There has been a real attempt to undermine this president. That is the type of information that we need all Americans to see immediately.
The American people deserve, they must, they want to know what's in this document.
Sadly, much of the mainstream media will not be covering this today, but in this House, on this day, let us know that indeed we are still one nation under God and willing to protect life.
Now, the hashtag Release the Memo originated with top Republican leaders concerned about the activities of the FBI, and now it's been taken up by millions of Americans. However, it looks like the Democratic Party, which seems to be quite concerned about the calls to release the memo, is falling back on their old canard, Russia did it.
Meanwhile, Americans on Twitter have launched a new hashtag, Not a Russian Bot. Campaigners have been tweeting that they are, in fact, real people and not working for the Kremlin. All right, we can now cross live to political analyst John Griffin. John, thanks for being with us here on RT International. So, as we just heard, American Twitter users are objecting to this allegation that the campaign is being driven by Russian bots. Do the Democrats have any evidence to back the claim up?
No, and this is really growing quite tiring. Will the little green men and conspiracy theories ever cease? This is the same party that for the last 50 years engaged in open treason with the Soviet Union. Ted Kennedy actually, in a memos get the Democrats into trouble, actually asked the General Secretary at the time to intervene in the 1984 U.S. elections to unseat Reagan. Keith Olbermann only in the last year called on all foreign intelligence services, I would assume that includes Russia, to undo our elections. So the Democrats have a massive double standard when it comes to election intervention. President Obama intervened in the Ukrainian elections, intervened in the Israeli elections. I mean, this is clearly not a party that actually believes in election integrity. They believe in winning and in keeping power, and that's a very different issue.
So let's talk about the memo itself. The campaign is all about a House Intelligence Committee memo written by Devin Nunes, who was part of the Trump transition team. It's already been seen by some members of Congress. Is there any good reason why the contents should not be made public? No good public interest reason. There is definitely, I believe, evidence of criminal conspiracy in this memo, and frankly, the people that should be concerned are Hillary Clinton and all the Democrats in the DNC that took part in trying to undermine election integrity in the United States. So there is a good reason why a number of Democrats do not want it to be seen by the public, but for the sake of the democratic process and for the sake of openness and transparency, we should all see this. And in the long run, that will be good for everyone concerned.
What if we look at what the Republicans are saying? Iowa Representative Steve King wrote, like, he's read the memo, it's worse than Watergate. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz says that if we get this memo into the public square, heads are going to roll at the FBI. Pushing back just a little bit, I mean, there is interest for Devin Nunes to undermine the FBI in this case. How serious could this be?
Well, again, the evidence we already have access to actually reveals what we already need to know. It creates the pretext for reasonable suspicion. And frankly, we already know and have proven that Russia did not hack U.S. vote tallies. They did not intervene, at least to the extent that was previously thought, in the U.S. elections. And the Democrats have been engaging in neo-McCarthyism. It's kind of switched the roles here. From 50 years ago, they were taking the fifth because they were being called to the mat for collaborating themselves with the Soviet Union. Now they're actually turning the tables and saying that Russia did it at every turn. It's become a little silly. It's become a little ridiculous. This is a broken record. We need to actually have a real conversation about the real data and the real facts, and not about this fantasy.
All right, very interesting to hear your thoughts. Political analyst John Griffin, thanks for being with us here on RT International.